Wouldn't it be neat if just once we had a really boring off season? Hello, it's James from narugbytv.com, and we're back again with my best mate Theo to talk about what the hell is going on in Major League Rugby over the last few weeks and what how we move forward and what might still be coming the rest of this off season. So let's just dive right in, and we'll start with the worst news I think of the week, which is the unfortunate news that the NOLA Gold, one of Major League Rugby's founding members, will not be participating in the 2026 season. They posted a really short 4-line statement on their social media, and it doesn't really tell us much, but we'll dive into that and we'll kind of figure out where we go from here. So this is the Gold's website as of the midpoint of last week when they posted this statement. You'll notice all the tabs are gone. The shop is there, of course, a link to the shop, but this is it. No, staff, team, events, schedule, that kind of thing. All there is this: a message from NOLA Gold Rugby, which says, NOLA Gold has informed the league that we do not intend to participate in the 2026 season. Discussions are ongoing with the league regarding future opportunities and potential pathways forward. So that gives us nothing. And if we scroll down, optimistically, there's a stay connected thing here still. Sign up for NOLA Gold emails and text alerts to be the first to hear about NOLA Gold Rugby updates. That's a pretty big update there. Maybe that's just optimistic, I don't know. So this tiny statement that gives us nothing at all. The issue I have with that is, although there is a great picture of some fans up here enjoying a game, there's no mention of any fans or staff or any thank you or anything here. No players, no thanks to the players, no thank you for the fans for their support. It's a pretty shit statement, I'm not going to lie. And that, coupled with the fact that this statement was posted to their website about a day before anything was on their social media. I sort of broke this news on Twitter or X or whatever you call it because I saw this statement because someone I know had posted it in a group chat I'm in and said, "Hey, look, it's up now." And I went, "It's not on Twitter, so I better, tell everyone about this." It should be the team doing that. If the team is going to break the fan base's hearts, and with that, a lot of MLR fans who are not particularly NOLA Gold fans but are fans of MLR, have a spine. Do it. Post it everywhere. Don't just post it to your site where most people aren't going to look because it's the off season. Post it everywhere on your social media. And I called them out for this. And yeah, I did have some people saying, with something like this, it is possible the media team were sent home or weren't there. It's possible, but then whoever posted this statement to the website should just post it on their socials. I don't know why that was the case, and let's be honest, it's a shit statement anyway. No recognition of the fans' support, no recognition of players' contributions. There wasn't even a mention of Major League Rugby in it, which I thought was quite interesting. That's the same statement that was posted on their socials, and it's just really disappointing after 8 seasons of competition that the NOLA Gold doesn't even have the class to thank the fans for their support. Unfortunately, the bottom line is that the NOLA Gold are out for 2026. Now let's go on to where do we go from here. So that brings us down to 5 teams in the Eastern Conference, if they're even following a conference model for 2026. We'll talk about that later. But what's sort of strange about the Gold's withdrawal from MLR is that ahead of the 2025 season, so in the last off season before the 2025 campaign, NOLA Gold received an influx of money. They received a lot of new investment from France. They appointed a new CEO, Alexandre Marmont, and a new chief revenue officer in Denton Hunter. They a lot of kind of moving and shaking, lots of staff changes. They had probably arguably on paper their best roster. On the pitch, it didn't go so well, but off the pitch, things looked promising. They had all of this investment. There was a statement after the 2025 season by Alexandre Marmont, and here is that statement. It's just kind of highlighting a load of their successes over the 2025 season. More than 4,500 local children were introduced to rugby. High school rugby championship expanded. Launched the Gold Academy. On a professional front, we saw a 30% increase in ticket revenue. That's massive. And then our long-term vision for a permanent home for NOLA Gold continues to advance, and we look forward to sharing significant updates soon. So that implies a move from the Shrine on Airline, their venue, to somewhere else for the 2026 season. We'll talk about that again in a bit, but then there's another thing here. We'll be sharing additional updates with our fans and partners in early July, including a detailed roadmap for the 2025-2026 season and beyond. We never got that because instead they withdrew. So because of things like that, the Gold's kind of end of season statement, everyone's kind of confused as to why the Gold are pulling out. I highly doubt that this investment came in going, we know we're going to make money immediately, like all the other teams haven't done. Um, I think they must have come into this and put the money into this knowing that it wouldn't get a return within a year. So why did they do it? It's very kind of contradictory. They're pulling out for, well, we don't know why. Let's be honest. That statement didn't give us any information. But they had a good season in terms of money and revenue and growing the game, and they pull out. It's left a lot of people confused, quite justifiably. And possibly because of all this sort of confusion and figuring out why this has happened, I've seen the rumor floated around that the Gold are actually, they're withdrawing for 2026, but they plan to return for 2027. So I mean, the first impression of that is great, but in reality it's going to be tough. They're going to be starting from absolute scratch. Essentially, they might as well be an expansion team. At that point they kind of will be. Digging more into this, like I just said about all this investment, is it really, would they really do that for a one season thing? And there's a few things floating around, like the Gold did have their eyes on another arena within the New Orleans, kind of greater New Orleans area, that's undergoing renovations and would be ready for 2027. Also, the Shrine on Airline, their current venue, is just starting renovations. So possibly they had nowhere to play. Fingers crossed it's as simple as that, but why wouldn't you say that? I don't know. But we'd have to wait and see for that. I think it's a long shot. But I mean, I'm sure we'd welcome them back. We'd welcome the team back. I'm not necessarily sure about all of the people involved. There's a guy involved in NOLA, Thierry Dauphin, he was part of the Austin Elite group that pulled out, and then MLR had to scramble and came up with a guy called Adam Gilchrist to take over. So we all know how that ended. If they do come back, great, but it's going to be a long shot. If we hear nothing from them for the next kind of 3 or 4 months, then they're gone. We've heard nothing from Dallas since they made the statement. We've heard nothing from Toronto and New York. Unfortunately, we have way too much experience in watching teams fold. If we hear nothing from them, then they're done. If they still maintain some sort of presence, whether they continue academy teams, whether they focus on still improving rugby at a grassroots level under a NOLA Gold brand, then we'll have to wait and see. And the reason why I go through that route and I'm trying to be optimistic about that is because of this blog post on their website from November 22nd, 2024, which is about the time that their reshuffle happened. NOLA Gold Rugby unveils Vision 31, a game-changing blueprint for the future of rugby in the USA. And this was essentially a 7-year plan from 2024 to the Rugby World Cup in the USA in 2031. You see here, it says, it mentions the Rugby World Cups. Vision 31 positions NOLA Gold Rugby as a pioneer in this new era of sport. Community engagement, world-class performance, sustainable growth, ensuring long-term success through initiatives such as state-of-the-art stadium, year-round activations, and an ever-growing engaged fan base. Well, that fan base has just taken a hell of a hit. Here he is again, Thierry. This isn't just a plan, it's our commitment to lead rugby's growth in America. R being, I assume, the NOLA Gold. Would they have posted this if they knew that they were pulling out after the season? Who knows? But then again, it is this fella. And if we keep going, there's the Bound by the Crown Executive Summary Brand Project 2024 to 2031. So, this doesn't sound like they do a lot of work to create this if they were going to pull out after a season. They've got their history, 7-year strategy. And very importantly, I wanted to touch on this. A 7-year project that they posted in November 2024, and now July 2025 they withdraw. It seems a bit strange. Over the next 7 years, we are committed to transforming NOLA Gold into a dominant force in US rugby. And something else I want to touch on, the stadium project, stadium and destination project, preliminary site plan and concept for a new ground, which looks pretty incredible as judging by this here. Like they had all of this planned, but pulled the plug after just under a year. I encourage you to go and read that article about Vision 31 from the NOLA Gold yourselves. I'll put a link in the video description. But unfortunately, the bottom line is that the NOLA Gold are not competing next season in 2026. As far as I've heard, the current NOLA Gold players are free agents as of right now, and there will not be a dispersal draft for gold players, at least at this point. So, moving on, if you thought that was the only massive MLR news from the last week or so, then I'm afraid you're in for a rude awakening because in marginally better news, we have the following from California. So, the way that big news like this happens in Major League Rugby is akin to Major League Rugby is a big ship full of lots and lots of holes, in that something will leak weeks before it's announced. Everyone who's paying attention will already know about it, and then MLR announces it to more casual fans, people that aren't watching a 20-minute video about what's going on. Um, but here we go. Here's the other big news that came out actually before the NOLA Gold news. RFCLA and San Diego Legion unite to form the California Legion. So LA, RFCLA, gone after 2 seasons. The San Diego Legion, another one of MLR's founding members, actually the winningest team in Major League Rugby history off of pure games won, are gone. They are rebranding, they are merging, they are combining, whatever you want to say, into the California Legion, which quite obviously is keeping a lot of the San Diego branding, and they're even keeping the moniker, the Legion, which is a good thing. The branding was fantastic, but obviously you can see here it's changed to Legion CA, not Legion SD. So let's dive into this statement and see what's kind of going on. San Diego Legion and Rugby Football Club Los Angeles will unite to create the California Legion, a newly formed professional rugby team that will compete in the 2026 Major League Rugby season. The California Legion will maintain a strong presence in Southern California and will host matches across San Diego, Los Angeles, and Orange County. So that to me tells me they're going to have multiple home venues, 3 from the look of it, with some other things saying they might play another game in Northern California, splitting home games between 3 or 4 markets, which would mean based on a 16-game season of 8 home games, there's going to be between 2 and 3 games in every city. I don't know how that's going to work for establishing a loyal fan base if you're only playing 2 or 3 times a year. This new team will build and connect rugby communities to elevate the game in Southern California, said MLR CEO Nick Benson, who is, I think, trying his best to put a positive spin on this. One funny thing I'll say here is that, unlike the NOLA Gold announcement, we actually got a statement from Major League Rugby themselves about this, which is right here. It's the same statement, so I'll read it here. MLR Commissioner Nick Benson. So the MLR statement itself calls him the Commissioner, which, as far as I know, he is not. Whereas the statement from the teams call him the CEO, which is my understanding of what he is. So we might need some clarity there. So this quote is a bit butchered here. They're missing a word or two, but that's a question I had about the ownership groups. Is that Ryan Patterson, who was the owner of the San Diego Legion, is head of the MLR board. Peter Sickle, who was the owner of RFCLA, is on that board, obviously as an owner. So I'm not quite sure how that works. Are they now co-owners? So are they both on the board now? Is it an even share? Is it, they both control the same amount? Who's a majority owner? We don't know that kind of thing. We'll keep going on. With California having the most registered rugby players in the United States, which is true, California is a massive hotbed. It's also massive. Our sport needs to extend before the 80 minutes on match day. So newly appointed California Legion CEO Adam Freyer. Now, Adam Freyer is a former player. He's an ex-Wallaby. He represented Australia internationally. He was also an executive with Rugby FC LA. So they've taken some of the LA staff. They've kept some of the San Diego branding. That kind of thing makes sense. Carrying on down, we have the post from RFCLA's socials, which were the same on both, so I don't need to show you both. But this kind of implies, if we go along, we are Los Angeles. Blue, we are San Diego. red. We are Orange County, orange. We are Long Beach. Long Beach gets a shout out. Yellow. Are they going to have different branding for every venue? I don't see how that's going to save any money. Then this bit here, just below that RFCLA post, this is just saying that the Legion Foundation, which does a lot of grassroots work in San Diego when it was connected with the Legion, will continue and will be, will also expand to cover all of California, just like the team. So that's a good thing. But this is really all we have. I mean, you can kind of see, look, for all media inquiries, please contact Miller at rugbyfcla.com. So the media in contact is still an RFCLA person. If we scroll down here, the site here is still copyright RFCLA. So it's very, this was only 5 days ago, but they're still working a lot of stuff out. But you can see that, they're combining resources. It's ambitious. We're going to have to wait and see how it works on the pitch. Just like with the NOLA Gold, MLR fans and especially California MLR fans are confused. But from what I'm hearing, it was either merge or fold. And I don't know if that means both teams would fold, RFCLA and the Legion, or just one of them. But coming from a purely facts point of view, one team is better than none, obviously. One professional team in California is better than zero. But I have learned a lot about the culture of San Diego from the fallout of this, in that San Diegans are proud of their teams in San Diego, and they've been bitten a couple of times by Los Angeles taking those teams. And a lot of fans are seeing this as another Los Angeles theft of a team. What I would say to that is you are justifiably, annoyed about this. A lot of people saying they're not going to renew their season tickets. We don't even know how season tickets are going to work if you're playing in 3 or 4 different cities. Are they going to do city tickets, like tickets for all games in a city? We don't know. We've seen lots of Legion fans are annoyed at the team, which is justifiable. Obviously, you're hurt right now. I get that. Of course you are. But what I would say is that I lost my team, the Toronto Arrows, a few years ago, and I would give anything to watch them play 2 or 3 games in Toronto again. So yeah, it's shit, but the alternative is far worse, believe me. If you can find it to sort of still support this team, then I encourage you to. Although it's being spun as a positive thing, this is probably due to financial issues within Major League Rugby, and the teams themselves are still losing money. So please get out there. If you're a rugby fan, please get out and support the California Legion if you can. But it's clear that rugby needs support. And if you're watching a video about some guy in the chair just talking about what's going on, you're a diehard fan, and it seems like diehard fans like you and I need to step up even more than we already are to spread the word to normal people that don't know about how great rugby is. Just going to touch quickly on one of the other rumours that's currently circulating around. So, in case you missed the announcement earlier today, Miami Sharks CEO Mila Kubeli, the sister of Thomas Kubeli, who plays on the Sharks and represented Argentina, has won the inaugural MLR Executive of the Year. So this is a new award created for this year, and Mila is completely deserving of it. The Sharks are really on the up. They're doing great things there in Miami. She is deserving of it. However, making this new award now, when there's rumors about the Sharks' participation in 2026, does feel like a please, please stay from MLR, which it was not that hard to see through, if I'm being honest. Not that she's not deserving, like I said, but now that they've awarded this, I don't think anyone looks good, either Miami, the Sharks, or MLR, if Miami now pull out. She was selected by her peers, and I'm hoping this is encouraging news as to Miami's participation in 2026. But that's all we have right now. We have no further news, so I'm not going to speculate. So that just about does it for this one. Another 20-minute video on the sagas of MLR. One of these days, we'll get a boring off season where I can actually enjoy the summer a little bit, but not yet, it seems. So, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very, very much if you got this far. Please, if you can comment purple, just to let me know that you got this far. I would appreciate that, just for fun. And if you want to stay up to date with what I do, which is mainly MLR stat stuff, I've got loads of stuff coming for player moves and all time stats for the off season. Follow me on Twitter or X at Jamdelay, JAMDELAY. Also on Instagram at MLR Stats, or I'm on Blue Sky now as well. Just search nardb.com and you'll find us there. Please also make use of the website, narugbydb.com, which has full player profiles for every single MLR player ever, as well as all Women's Elite Rugby players as well now, which I'm very pleased about, as that's going to be constantly updating for the 2026 season, and hopefully with some good news. And last but not least, if you want to jump into the end of season sales or possibly pick up some pretty discounted NOLA Gold or San Diego Legion RFCLA stuff, visit shopmlr.com and use the code MLRSTATS, all in capitals, MLRSTATS, at checkout for 15% off your order. The last little thing, just remember to share this video if you liked it, drop a like, drop a comment, let me know what you think. I'm sure there's plenty of thoughts about it, so no need to hold back. I won't take it personally. And see you next time. Thanks very much. Bye bye.